Thank you for inviting me here in Rapperswil on this interesting day. So I will do this in English, but I understand German and Swiss German because my son is half Swiss and my girlfriend is from Switzerland. So please, if you have questions, don't talk too fast. And not some kind of dialect from the mountains, but my name is Marco Broekman, and I'm an architect. Sorry, I'm black. Sorry. I hope that at the end of the lecture you will not see me as some kind of charismatic architect, but I hope I can show you some projects about new ways of dealing with urban planning in the Netherlands. But a lot of these topics we had already this morning are about this new relevance, about this responsibility of the landscape architect, the urban planner. And so in our office, but also in the studio work I'm doing, we talk a lot about this new role of the designer, of the urban planner. My lecture is called Collectivity Now. So this is me, architect, urban planner, and I work in Office for Landscape Architecture. So for me, it's also about this interdisciplinary approach. And next to that, one day a week, I'm working as a tutor and a researcher at the Academy of Architecture in Amsterdam. Just want to show you a little bit what kind of projects we do at Karres and Brands. 25 people in Hilversum, that's close to Amsterdam, where I live. And we're doing projects from squares, Federation Square, urban plans, different parks, Oslo, London, a lot of projects in the Netherlands, of course. This is a quite well-known project, the cemetery in Amsterdam. And these are some other projects. This is newly built in Copenhagen. All also beautiful projects, but I want to also talk about projects with relevance and projects, more urban planning projects. So I also, of course, I looked quite good to the text of SCHÖNE AUSSICHTEN. It's about engagement, about new tools, I think, about new methods. I think also about a proactive approach as a designer, so not wait for the telephone to ring, but making your own proposals. It's about relevance in terms of the society and what can we do in the future. So I want to talk about first collectivity in the Netherlands. It's always good to compare a little bit the Netherlands with Switzerland. We are sort of have the same area, a little bit more than 40,000 square kilometers, vierkante kilometer. We have 11 provinces, you have 22 cantons, we have 18% water, you have 4% water, but of course you have much more mountains. And we have 16 million people and you have 8 million people. We have a little bit more denser situation, but because you have all these valleys, you have also your own problems. What's happening in Holland? I think the crisis hit quite hard in Holland, and I don't want to complain about this crisis, but it's because I think it's an interesting period now. But this is a situation in Holland. I think in Holland we will have locally in regions very much a different situation. For example, this is Amsterdam, so the West will see the next 20, 30 years a lot of growth. While this is where I'm working with my studio, Maastricht, really another situations with people getting away there, moving to the here, but also in these areas we have different problems. So we cannot talk about growth, we cannot do urban planning in the old way, but we really need to work with the people, work with other processes. So this is Amsterdam, close where we live. We also have our urban gardening, but in Amsterdam we still build new houses, a lot of apartments. And this is Limburg. This is about houses where people move. It's about shrinking cities. All the economics goes away, employment, but also schools, etc. So we need to work there in a different way. And in Holland, we have the latest buzzword is the participation society. So also the relationship between the individual and the government changes. So we're coming from a situation from the 50s, 60s, where the government was the main leader in urban planning, to the 70s, 80s, 90s, where we see this coming up of the big developers, market parties. But we're now in a situation, and I call this coalition urbanism, where we need to deal with a lot of different stakeholders, and that can be investors, organizations, but also individuals who want something. And I'm not talking about who only have a vote, but also individuals or companies who want to invest in an area. And then you really need to also talk a different language. You're not talking anymore to professionals, but also you need to talk to a director of a company or an inhabitant. This is, of course, with a lot of people, a lot of parties. Everybody brings his own box with wishes, with demands, with stakes. And I think it's the role of the urban planner to become sort of a mediator, to make sure that he's not the donkey in front of this wagon, but that you offload some of the luggage and to come with a cooperative, collective process to deal with these different parties. Because in Holland it's not so sure anymore what is the program for areas, because the financing is a problem, and it's not like it was 5 years ago. Oh, we know we can build 2,000 houses here. No, it's much more seeing what comes from bottom up, what are the initiatives, what kind of programs suits in an area. Of course, we see the tendency of much more decentralization. So also people start to organize them differently. That has to do with new techniques, but also with that people are much more intelligent or know how to organize them. So in Holland we also see much more now these kind of bouwgroepen, collective initiatives, but also housing, working areas which totally do the maintenance of their own area, make their own events, make their own spaces. And we see the coming up of, like this is a group of people who make their own energy corporation in Amsterdam. So they don't want to depend on the big companies, and they make their own corporation. The same goes for it's a broodfonds, it's the bread fund literally. It's kind of an insurance for freelancers who organize them in the same way. So what does that mean for the architect, the landscape architect? Because this picture behind us is Almere. This is something we don't want to do again. So the role of the landscape architect changes. So I want to tell 3 things. In a lot of projects we are trying to look for kind of a new small-scale collectivity. That means that we are trying to make neighborhoods or areas which are sort of in between 20, 200 houses with new kind of groups, collectives, and so kind of a small-scale collectivity. Second is we want to make plans, we want to make frameworks where a lot of types of individuals, types of commissioners can be possible, from private developers to private families, but also to collective groups who want to do something in an area. And the third, I think the last lectures were also about this: how do we organize this process? How do we organize this collective process with all these different people? And this was a proposal for a website to make sure that people who want something together could find each other. So first, organizing this collectivity. This is a project in Antwerp where we also had this kind of participation in a park. Another buzzword is co-creation, doing it together with the people. And that's why we founded a research project 2 years ago, which is called Urban Dating. I have a little bit of the project inside this lecture, but please look at www.urbandating.nl. It's in Dutch, but maybe the graphics speak for itself. We wanted to make a proposal, research how we could connect people better in a project, and how we, especially in the first phase, when the people come together, how we could arrange that. And what we came up with is to structure the process with a couple of parameters, and that parameters can be the program, can be the structure, can be a temporary program, can be the fastness in which you develop a project, can be the investing. And we developed, together with financial advisors, we developed a small computer program where you could fill in all these different parameters, but also all the different votes people have for these different parameters. Also there we developed workshop methods with the different parties, and this is our financial guy. He comes up with this kind of complicated financial schemes. And we developed scenarios, and we always develop scenarios in times. These are scenarios from quite rigid scenarios to very organic scenarios. And with these scenarios, we discussed with the different stakeholders. So we have parameters, and at the end, the result is some financial graphs. But the main thing is the priorities. So what we do with the stakeholders is prioritize, because in the beginning everything is important, but in the end we wanted to see which aspects are the main importance. To show you how we did that somehow in a real project is in Harlingen. It's a harbor city where in the north of Holland, where there's also a lot of shrinkage. And it's an important place because a lot of boats go from here to the islands. It's an old harbor area with a lot of warehouses. This is a beautiful historical city, but in between there's this big dike, big water chutes. I don't know how to say it. Which makes the connection between this old city and the harbor area quite difficult. There's already a lot going on. There are some warehouses. This is how the public space looks like. This is the public space newly already made. And there's this old initiative of the Willem Barents, which used to be an important sailor, and they're building a boat there. So there were a lot of initiatives. There were a lot of ideas from this Willem Barents museum, the cruise ship coming. These are is een rederij. I don't know how to translate it, but they're having this beautiful old historical boats. A beer brewery, a qualarium. Do you know what a qualarium is? No? Qualarium, it's an aquarium with jellyfishes. It's really kwal. A kwal is Dutch for jellyfish. Qualarium, and so the question was, how can we deal with all these initiatives? Because in principle, we always say, initiatives, come to us and tell what is your idea. But we also say, what is your financial business case? What is your planning, and how do you want to do it? So we try to set up an organization where all the initiatives, but also unknown initiatives. The Wadden area is cultural heritage, so we also had to deal with the Wadden fund, but also the city and the province. So we held these different workshop evenings, and in the end we made a framework. So this is the existing situation with this sort of barrier here, and we said we want to focus on two spots. We want to, after all these interviews, after seeing which initiatives were the most fruitful and which investments were the most relevant, we came up with investing on two spots. And also we think in the short-term and long-term interventions. So the short-term was all about this entrepot square, to organize all initiatives and all events around this square. It was also because the cruise ships are coming here, and here you see all these old boats. So starting at this square. The long-term vision was about using these old warehouses, maybe make new warehouses, and to make a whole new development possible, and also reusing these warehouses with a different program. And we came up with an idea to make modules in these warehouses, so different initiatives could go in these warehouses, could be tested. And one of the most important things was a kind of a construction map to show on which parts we should start now. So the red ones are the parts we start at the moment, and while these parts we do in a later phase. Second is this small-scale collectivity. I think this is already a quite old project, but it's a nice project to start with. It's a project which is totally owned by the people, and we didn't want to make a kind of a sort of a campus park. Also, we didn't want to close it off too much, so we made kind of this half-open building block with a collective garden in the middle. So by making these views, by letting most of the trees inside this block, we made this kind of collective space with ground-based houses and different families, apartments, living there together. And this was one of the first projects where we started to think about this collectivity, about this small scale collectivity. Another project where we pushed that a little bit further was in Eindhoven, in the south of Netherlands, in Bosrijk, a beautiful landscape with a lot of trees from a former airport area. And we wanted to keep all these trees in this landscape. Normally in Holland, we would make only one-family houses, ground-based houses, but we wanted to make clusters. We wanted to make clusters with their own identity, clusters with their own collective spaces. So small gardens, small private gardens, and big collective spaces. So these are all the different clusters. You see the all the trees which we keep, but also we make new spaces. And this is some of the architecture of the Dutch architects Bedo de Brouwer. So small gardens, which I think in Switzerland it's more common to have just apartments and a small. But in Holland this is quite quite revolutionary to make this. So this is another cluster with a small gardens and then a collective space with parking under it. One of the latest projects we did was for a student and starters campus in Leiden. So there you see also a trend to have more people of the same age or same mind getting together, and we focused on to making a really clear framework. Of course, we had to deal with some existing buildings, but a clear framework with plots. But we wanted to have a kind of a diversity of housing in it. Still focused on this, on the starters, on the student group. So we made this kind of small-scale blocks. We called it the intensive city plot. With different typologies, but a very open and collective spaces. It was based on the old historical building blocks of the Leiden area. And the interesting thing is that inside of this block you get all this differentiated, this gradient of private, public and collective spaces. So you have small gardens which are totally private. You have semi-public streets or steges, I don't know how to translate it, and this kind of semi-public courtyards. So this was the plan with all the different blocks, and this was the model. Further, what we also see in the Netherlands is that the client you are working for is not anymore a private developer or the city, but can also be a private company, and that I think it's that's very interesting, because this is an old wharf. These men are the cleaning men from the city. But this wharf is not in use anymore. And here is Spielgames. That's an internet company who makes projects. This kind of. They make this kind of responsible games for children, girls. So a lot with pink and they saw this area and they said, "Hey, we want to develop it." We came in talking with them and said, let's try to develop it together and try to get other companies, other creative people to develop this area. Some really nice old buildings. Some buildings are quite old and in construction. An old loading dock. And of course the Stelcon concrete thing. So again, this was organized in a very interactive ways with the different clients, but also the city. And there also we made a short-term vision. We said it doesn't make sense to make a long-term vision with really a strict urban plan. But we said we make a short-term vision where we start with this building. We make here an intervention in public space, and the rest of the buildings we make sure that they are open for artists, for events, for game events. And we made some basic rules for the public space to reuse all the material. So this is the first phase. Also, in the beginning, we really made a detailed, some detailed plans of public space. But this owner, the director of Spielgames, he just does half of the things he wants to do himself. And he just has this idea, I want to make graffiti, I want to use really bright colors. So this is also a little bit anarchistic approach. And I noticed from myself that I really needed to get used to that kind of approach. We did some planting, an architect redid this building, and but we didn't do, basically we didn't do that much. We were sort of facilitators, we were mediators to guide this program, because a lot of things they just want to do themselves. They want to build a bar, or they want to make a schommel for the neighborhood kids, or they want to do these kinds of things. So now we're working on to reuse one of these warehouses, and again you could see this as an organic development where we are now in these buildings, but we want to redevelop the rest in the area until finally. But it can take 2 years, but maybe it takes 10 years. So this is our long-term vision, which is nothing more but a sketch, but of course it's the idea to make in the end much more buildings, and the only thing we did is to set some robust rules about the type of buildings, about the height, but also about graphics and how to use the public space. I want to end with a project in Switzerland. So we are back in this place, and we did together with Basque and Ernst Basel partner, we did last year a Studienverfahren for a project in Niederveld. Of course, yeah, you know, of course, the whole area, but it's in the Limmatal area, and it's one of the latest open spaces, I think, in the canton of Zurich, which is the grens is the border is here. It's called Niederveld. It's quite low, like Nederlanden, so we felt quite welcome here. So it's quite wet. It's with small height differentiations, but also this huge cargo railway thing. There was a zoning plan, probably normal here. This is industry. This is mixed, this is low-rise, and this is untouchable. And they wanted to have a big park. They wanted to have a central park. And from the beginning, we thought it was quite strange to make a kind of a central park next to a railway. What is the use of this kind of park? So we said 3 things. We want to see it as a part of a bigger structure. There's this canton grens, so we want to make something which goes over these 2 cantons. We wanted to make a green network with pocket parks, which could be the center for different Nachbarschaften. And we also wanted to make a sort of a strategy which could already start. So we said no to the central park, we said yes to the sort of pockets park. We looked at the whole region where we have much more of these smaller parks. We made a framework, of course, very much looking at the existing structure. And we made, this was basically the area, but we made a vision on the whole area. We also called it, what did we call it? Spreitikon, or Ditibach, because it's it goes over this canton grens. But the idea was to make different parks, which could be totally, could give an identity to a neighborhood, from an ecology zimmer to an energy zimmer to a plant zimmer to a. So the very much interaction between the green and the building. We call it a democratische park because there is a democratic park because there are a lot of houses on the park, and also it's very good for the for the microclimate, and we made this strategy to already start with temporary functions. So these are some of the details. I see my time is almost up. So for me, looking back to the discussion of this morning, I think landscape architecture is like these boys. It's about taking risks. It's about engage with not only the spatial, but also with the social and economical. But it's also about the power of design. So use design to link people, and people want something to each other. And it's also about the organization of the improvisation. So it's about working with this bottom-up, with this top-down, trying to see how you react in that. It's about, I think designers are very good in show the possible, but also show the impossible, to show future maybe impossible or unexpected ideas. Designers can be critical, can reframe problems, can make alternatives. And I think designers, landscape architects, urban planners should use the power of their imagination. You could call it imagineering, to seduce parties, collective individuals for new projects. So that's it. Thank you.